House Bill 124 would ban the use of student IDs in the voting process. The bill's proponents claim that this is to prevent voter fraud, but there are no known cases of voter fraud with a student ID in the state of Idaho. Furthermore, the claim that student IDs aren't secure is untrue. In order to become enrolled at a publicly funded school, college, or university, students must show proof of address, financial documents, their social security number, and more. At the College of Idaho, student IDs grant us access to funds, buildings, and rooms like our dorm room. Student IDs already grant us access to government institutions, so requiring another form of ID for another government institution is redundant and illogical. This bill is a non-solution to a non-issue. House Bill 124 is a gross government overreach. When 124 was heard in front of the Senate State Affairs Committee last week, Senator Lambert claimed that discouraging voters from voting was not her intent and that she was simply ensuring that only qualified voters voted. Students are qualified voters.
Yes.
Students without driver's licenses are qualified voters. Students facing socioeconomic barriers are qualified voters. Students in general are qualified voters, and it is not any representative's place to tell us that we're not. In my opinion, with the way the legislative session is going, students are the voters we need the most. And this bill would place barriers on the exact demographic that would vote against the bill's proponents. In the same meeting last week, Representative Herndon said in his testimony that the ban on student IDs would not be a problem for students because they could simply sign an affidavit to vote. He neglected to mention that he is sponsoring a bill which would ban affidavits for voting. This was a blatant attempt to mislead the public and a blatant attempt to suppress young voters. As a young voter, this is terrifying. House Bill 124 is a threat to our democracy, our freedom, and the values that this country was based on. We should be encouraging young voters and voters in general to vote. Not only does this bill make the voting process more difficult for groups that already face barriers to voting, but it sends a very clear message. The legislature does not want to represent young people, and they do not value what they have to say. I hope they can see from today that we cannot be silenced. Thank you.